Well, hi everyone. Thank you very much for being here, and thanks especially to the organization, to PS GrayTech, for inviting MBRDV to the BIM in Practice 2019. Surprisingly, I'm Maria Lopez, how he explained. Elia is a colleague of mine. She's from Russia. She will help you also later if you have any question or any comment about our presentation. First, I would like to explain you why we call it from Datascape to BIM. For MBRDV, since MBRDV was founded, we have been fascinated by the data-driven parametric design, which we call it Datascape. What means Datascape for us? Imagine a landscape that consists of data. We like to say that we design according to the given parameters. For us, BIM is important because I will define it with 4 key ingredients. For us, BIM is collaborative. We like to collaborate. We like to have all the consultants, our clients, advisors in a really early stage of the project. Also, BIM for us is data. We like to play with these parameters, with all the inputs from the different parties and stakeholders of the process. BIM for us is also simulation. We can simulate and we can assess the project in a really early stage. And for us also BIM is about dynamics. We have a model, we have geometry that they are connected intelligently, and then they can show us any change in a real-time collaboration. So here I will present today 2 projects from MBRDV. One is based in Amsterdam, the Valley, and then the other one is in Moscow. We are really excited. In 2022, we will have our first build project in Russia. About MBRDV, we are a global and operating architecture and urbanism office. And then we can work from infrastructure, mixed use, residential, offices, retail, leisure, exports, cultural program, and transformation. We really are engaged in solving these global issues. We are an office of about 2,050 employees. We work over 835 projects in 35 different countries. We have an office in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands. We also have an office in Shanghai, in China, and another one in France, in Paris. So let's start with the Valley. So here we have a project that is a mixed use of residential, cultural, bar and restaurant, 70,000 square meters program. We started it in 2015 when we won the competition. So here we are in the cultural district center of Amsterdam, and if you can see here, we have a full area of working, and we have full area of housing and activities there. So our building is the intermediate between these 2 different programs. So what we designed was to have a more urban facade that is surrounding and reflecting the more business area, and to give the human scale in the interior with all the diversity and the terraces. Here, if you can see, we create a really active plinth with different programs, retail, cultural, and we also, and that's the reason we call it the Valley, we create a plinth that is spread out through the different towers, and it gives access to the different terraced valley. Here in the next picture, you can see that actually outside, as I say, we were reflecting the surroundings, the urban and the business, but inside, the valley is about green. The valley is about gardens, and the valley is about the human scale. This is the current construction and situation, and we expect that the unveil will be mid of 2021. So, well, not much people really trust that we could realize this project and how we could do it. So actually, the result and the solution was to implement it in BIM. Because we had to rationalize it. We have to take in account all the inputs from all the different parties and stakeholders. Here I'm just showing you like this was our design for the competition, and how after the BIM implementation we had the definitive design. For the processes, Unfortunately, I have to say we prefer to work in a closed BIM. We prefer to have an easy workflow. We prefer to have the same type of software. But many times, and for the different reasons, we have to deal with different kind of softwares. That time in 2015, we started the model and the design in Rhino, and we were scripting many of the things in Grasshopper. So we also have to find the way to make a good workflow to implement it in BIM. That was the time of our schematic design. Then we were implementing many of the tools with the Dynamo. In the design development, we had to struggle with the facade, and then we came back to the Rhino and the Grasshopper script to solve it. And for the construction documents, after to implement it, all the inputs in Revit, we develop it in CAD drawings, we check the class the detections in Solibri, and we submit the PDF drawings. So here, I will just to explain you this datascape, this parametric design that we like to have in MBRDB, and how is the MBRDB method. For MBRDB, BIM is like the next step. We started always with the envelope that it was provided by the municipality. It was a really weird shape, but at the end, the program led to a plinth with 3 different towers of mixed use. We started to get in account all these inputs, how we bring this scale human, how we bring all the inputs about the sun, about the views, about the terraces. So we started to carve out in the towers, in all the 3 towers, even in the plinth. So here, as you can see, we had the Rhino model. We started with the competition, and then in collaboration with Arup, we developed a parametric model that could show all the different inputs that we wanted to integrate it. So we could control how many sun hours we will have in the model. We can slide and set up the inputs we wanted. We can control also the solar heat we wanted in the project, how many terraces we wanted for the different buildings, which will be the view and privacy range, which will be the structural limits and the constraints we have to take in account in the design, or which will be the types of apartments. So what happened to us then is like we end up with an endless number of different design options. But we had the tool and we had all the parameters integrated there. So we can meet the different stakeholders, we can see which are the different interests, and we can really prioritize which are the inputs we should be the ones that define the design. So at the end, we really want for different typologies, for the diversity, but really keeping good terraces, good views, and really good sun hours for the apartments. So here I would like to show you how we split the model and how we collaborate. That time we were working in a Revit server. Since Autodesk, I think already like 2 years ago, did not give more support to the model. I will show you in the next project how we moved to the BIM 360. But here, what we did was to have the architectural model, to have the structural model, and the MIP model. And all the building physics, sustainability inputs, they were integrated in the model. When a model is difficult to handle, you might know that we also had to split it in rational and different parts here. So what we did was the architectural model at the same time was divided in between the tower north model, the west model, south model, the facade, the different cores, and the plinth. That was really useful. We could control how many apartments we have, how much square meters has all the different apartments, and this was possible to be done with all the scheduling and the control done by the Revit model. And here I just wanted to show you, as I saw one of the other speakers, this actually was a decision from the client. So we went for Solibri model checker. Actually, as I said before, we really like to have this closed BIM. We try to have Navis work in our class detection, but here was, as I said before, a client decision, and then each party that was involved was responsible to submit the IFC model to make the class detection. Here, as I told you before, we were struggling with the facade. You have seen how how diverse is the interior facade that we create to give this human scale. So here we also have to deal with the fact that how this is going to be manufactured. How many different pieces of natural stone we have to create. So we have to find a way to optimize it, rationalize, and analyze which will be the different size of pieces. So here, what I'm showing you is the different process we follow. So first, from the Revit model, we locate all the tiles and we extract it from the BIM model. We move it and analyze in Rhino, and we create a script, we call it the facade generator, that help us to rationalize and analyze with the different requirements we have from the manufacturer and the construction. And here, later, with a Dynamo script, we move it back to Revit, and then we create a family that was assigned to solve the issue of the facade. Here in more detail, I'm showing you the different steps. So first, as I explained, we move from Revit to Rhino. So the Revit model is exported to Rhino and has to be as accurate as possible. For that, first we find all the walls that create the valley through a Dynamo script. Then we define and create the solid geometry, and we isolate the vertical faces, and we also isolate the outer facade. Here, when we bring it back to the facade pattern generation to the Grasshopper, what we did was to have the geometry, as you see here, the Rhino geometry from Revit. We analyze it and we build it up. Let me show you with this facade generator. So you see, we have all the lines of the tiling of the facade, all the panelization. So we could really control with all the inquiries from the construction side. We could really choose how will be the different panelization and how could be really optimized and rationalized. After we made the proper choice, after discussion, as I mentioned before, with constructor, we could really bring all this information to Revit back. So here, from this Rhino model, what we did, it was to create a unique Revit family per tile size based in this adaptive family that was the one that will translate all these Rhino objects into the Revit geometry and transfer this information from Revit geometry to the family. Here is one of the examples, and actually this is the current mock-up of the facade. So here, we control with all the different types of sizes. We started at the beginning at the competition design. We can get like, I don't know, 900 different types of sizes. That was under control. That was difficult to realize and also not cost efficient. So now, as I said before, we are really excited. Our first building project that we will have in Russia, we call it the RED7. It's a 52,000 square meters of retail and residential. And we won the competition in 2017. We hope we'll bring a new value to the city center of Moscow. Here, we are in a really fantastic location. We have a great views of the different monuments and the different buildings of the city center of Moscow. We will go up 78 meters high. And we hope we can offer and we can add value to the area. So then, as I explained you before, that's the methodology of MBRDB. We get in account and we consider all the constraints, all the inputs, and we apply it into the design. So first we get the program from the brief that was commercial, shared facilities, and residential. One of our main questions and actions that we did was to create the main entrances for the different programs. Then we also stretch it to create views in the upper part. So the top apartments, they will have really fantastic views to the surroundings of the neighborhood. Then we also consider inputs like the sunlight. We also need to modify the volume and adjust it according to that. And then we take in account which will be the quality of the different apartments and then how to create these corner views and terraces. And we wanted to bring this windows gradient that you can really already see in our storyline concept. So here, our inspiration was the classical silhouettes that you can find across the city center of Moscow. And the idea is respecting and enhancing the beauty of this historic concept. And as you can see, this is one of the images we had for the competition. Here you can see these top apartments that I mentioned, that the configuration has a lot of variation, and we provide really nice views and terraces to the apartments. And here, just to mention, for us, the color, the red, was also a way to refer to the constructive BIM color, and also to give a bold color to be welcome for the inhabitants in the area. And here is another view. You can see we have this gradient of windows that I will explain you in more detail later. So this was the team that we had for the RED7 project, and actually we have now. So our client is Ochova, and then we are the designers involved in the project, and Apex is our co-architect and close collaborators. They are their scope is quite big, so they are the co-architects. They also are in charge of the MIP, the structure, and also about the fire issues. For the retail, we had a Dutch company involved about all the issues we have to solve about this program. That was the Cushman and Wakefield. Well, what I wanted to show you, because actually I say in the previous project we were working with the Revit server. Many times we try also to be the ones that is hosting the model, but architects, where many parties are always willing and dealing with many constraints about VPN connections, especially when you are a global firm that you work with different countries, also about the legal issues, security issues. So that was the time for us also to move to the cloud, to work online and try to stop struggling with these kind of issues. So this is one of the best examples we have right now. It was easy to configure and implement it for us. That was easy to collaborate with Apex in a real time. That really improves our collaboration. Here I'm just showing that we could also control the access, which will be the users that will be really in the project, which will be the team members who will be involved on that, who can really see all the information. And then all the data that was shared for all the team members that we were in the project. And we could really upload and download the data anytime. Well, this is gone with 2019. I don't know if there's any Autodesk partner here, but we love the communicator. We love to have this real-time chat with all the parties of the team. This is one of the examples. And then about the visibility. Many times we can just grab one of our main directors, one of the partners, just show them the model, just try to make decisions in the same time. We can also share it with the client anytime with other different parties. And here, I just wanted to show you, we still keep the same way of organizing. So we have the architectural model, we have the structural model. So at the end, we have a protocol we have to follow. There are roles and different responsibilities that has to take in account. Here was the architectural model and the MIP. These are different parts and all the deliverables that we can already see in the platform. The data, as I said before, is really easy to access to all the project data. I think here I just wanted to show we can just select one of the rooms and we get directly all the data and all the information about this room here. All the details can be easily accessed through the BIM 360 and show it to the different. And then about the facade, that time we really moved it again to Dynamo. What we were really checking was to scripting and to help us to control all this gradient we had in the facade with the different windows, and that helped us later to show to all the parties how we wanted to organize, how many types of windows we will have here and how we will control this gradient. So thank you very much. I hope that inspired you, and well, thanks again.